Edition of Behind the Funny. And on this week, we have one of the veterans in the game. His name goes by the name of Rudi Lickwood. And as per usual, we're here to dive into his background, find out what he's been up to, find out his ups and downs in the industry, and take a good in-depth look at Rudi Lickwood, one of the top comedians in the UK. Let's give it up for the one and only. We call him Rudi Lickwood, although some people will call him something else. Rudy, how you doing, my friend? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm good. But you just now called me a fossil, innit? That's what you did. You called me you called me a fossil, innit? You call me something that you see when you dig down deep into the earth, yeah, and then you find skeletons, yeah, and you dissect and you look into them and you kind of go, oh, so this is what they used to be like. This is what they used to be like.
This is going to be a great interview because you've got an in-depth knowledge of comedy. Let me just turn you up slightly a bit. You've got in-depth knowledge of comedy, and it's something that, you know, a lot of us look up to you as one of the veterans in the game. Rudy, when did you start comedy?
I think, to be honest with you, I think it started from when my mum was going through some serious times with my father, and I used to try to cheer her up, you know, by telling her stupid little gags, you know what I mean, little things that you know, I don't know. I think that's where I'd have to say that's where it started, because, like they say, comedy is tragedy, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's based on a lot of things that's gone wrong in your life, so to speak. Yeah, because I'm not a gagsmith. I don't like tell gags. I do. There's gags within what I talk about, but they're always a story or a scenario or a situation. Do you get me? That I've kind of like found myself in, and I tend to find that I don't know. I wouldn't really say that I tell jokes because I'm a black comedian. And black comedians, I think we ain't got jokes. We got problems, right? We got
problems and issues.
Yeah, we got problems. We got issues. Yeah, and I think that's what we tend to divulge. It doesn't really matter whether you're in a relationship with some girl or whatever. Do you get me? And you know what I mean. You're 1 minute everything's all right. The sun is shining. You get me? Oh, what a beautiful day, you know what I mean? And then she goes, well, if you were to think of me as an animal, what would you think of me as? You know what I mean? And you kind of think that's a kind of stupid question to ask somebody, you know what I mean? So then she'll go, well, I reckon you'd be a lion, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, that's cool. And I'll go, well, I reckon you'd be a squirrel. And you go, oh, squirrel. I go, because you like nuts, innit? You like nuts. So, and next thing you know, the sun has gone away. Do you get me? The cloud comes over and starts to form, and next thing you know, there's an argument. So yeah, we ain't got. I don't think. Nah, but it started from when I was a kid, man. Just trying to cheer up my mum. My mum.
So can you put an age on that, or is it just something that you recall?
No, I think it's from when I was about 7, 6, when I began to understand what my parents were going through. Do you know what I mean?
So did they guide you into comedy? Because back then, comedy, even still now, it has a stigma attached where it's not really a real job. It's just something you do on the side. Did you ever think about turning it into a job, or how did you go about?
No, because there was no way that you could have gone into a job center and see comedian. Yeah. When last you go in a job center and they say, oh yeah, we're looking for a comedian, you know what I mean? And then you go and audition for it. It don't happen like that. I think most people fall into comedy by accident. Okay. Yeah, unless you're a thespian and then you know what I mean, you're into the arts one way or the other, and you're an actor, and it just so happens that you know what I mean, your parents was doing the same sort of like thing, and people told you that it's funny, and then you went up on stage. But for me, it began when I was, in terms of getting towards becoming a professional comedian.
Mm-hmm.
It was a case of I used to be a waiter.
Okay, this is who. Okay,
Yeah, no, I
wait,
used to be a waiter,
waiting for who?
waiting for a bus. But no, I used to be I used to be a waiter in a restaurant,
Mm.
Travelers Fair. Travelers Fair used to be in Euston. Yeah, and it was about really trying to entertain the people that I was serving by giving them the best service that I possibly could. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where I began to first engage and use humor without even knowing it to ensure that they had a good time.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And the
I,
measurement of that was by the tips that you receive.
I was about to say, was it the amount of tips that you got? So you thought, let me just carry on doing this and
Yeah,
let
let me just carry on doing. Let me just carry on doing what I do because
yeah,
right about now I can see tips coming in, and I used to take the tips. Yeah, and I used to go back into the kitchen, and I used to count my tips on top on top of the on top
the
of like where
count.
they went on the counter where they hand out all the plates, and that used to piss off all of the chefs. Them, you get
Mm,
me?
yeah.
And but for me, that was just fun. That was just fun. Winding people up was fun, so to speak.
Okay.
And one evening when I was working in the Waverley Hotel, a gentleman by the name of Art Blakey walked in, who was at the time he was a famous jazz musician. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
if you remember Art Blakey. He when he used to blow the trumpet, his cheeks used to blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he was blowing the instrument incorrectly, but he was really proficient at what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was him who told me that I had a slight resemblance at the time to Eddie Murphy.
Okay. We're gonna get onto that. We're gonna
No,
get
that's fine, but that's what you asked.
yeah. No. We are gonna get onto the Eddie Murphy bit.
Mm,
But let's just go back slightly a bit because you called yourself Rudi Lickwood.
yes,
Why do you call yourself Rudi Lickwood?
because the one thing that I knew was that I knew that I used to like rude jokes,
Right.
right? Because I used to listen to the Wheel Tappers and Shunters Club.
Right.
I used to listen to the comedians back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I kind of liked rude people. I kind of liked rude jokes. Yeah, because you're saying things that you're not supposed to say, kind of like thing, right? But you're saying it in a tongue-in-cheek kind of a way, right? And that's why I decided to go with the name Rudy, right? I came up with the name Lickwood because when we used to go to the sound systems,
Mm-hmm.
right, we used to have what they call like 18-inch speaker boxes. Yeah, you had a 15-inch or you had an 18-inch. Yeah. And when people used to like the music, they used to bang the box. Yeah, people used to bang the box. Boop, 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 boop,
And
boop,
they still do. They still do.
boop, boop,
Yep.
boop, boop. Yeah.
Yep.
And what that was a sign of, it was people kind of like saying, I like what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is how we're going to let you know, inform you that we enjoy what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I used the word liquid, because I knew that once the place would kick off, you know what I mean? And he said, Lickwood. Brr, 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 brr. So, and that's the kind of vibe and kind of like energy that I wanted to create. But at the same time, I was very much aware because I ended up doing the Real McCoy, like maybe no, about maybe 6 years after getting into being a celebrity lookalike, that the word liquid has connotations.
Okay.
And we had no black TV programs on TV at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew what liquid meant within the black community in terms of banging the box, but I also knew what it meant sexually. And I
Right.
thought to myself, it would be funny if I come up with a name that I can put on TV and white people don't know what the hell I've just said.
Apart from, they only took out the syllable lick, and then
Yeah,
they got
yeah,
liquid. Yeah. Okay. I get
yeah.
it. I get
So
it. Okay.
so it was like people would be sitting at home. I was thinking to myself, they'll be sitting at home and they go, oh, what him call himself?
Yeah.
Liquid? Oh, hey. But then what I also began to realize was that there was people who would mispronounce my name.
Mm.
Yeah, they would say Licklewood. And I went, oh, nobody call me Licklewood, you know, because my name is Licklewood. It's Liquid. Yeah.
Liquid. Right.
Or white people would say liquid.
Mm.
Rudi Lickwood. I goes, no, man, it's not liquid, it's liquid. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And so over a period of time, I guess, after being on the circuit for as long as I have been, which is over 35 years,
Okay.
people got synonymous and they got to know exactly what my name and how to pronounce it.
Okay. So you mentioned there you started off as a Eddie Murphy lookalike, and
Mm.
how did that come about? How did that go for you? And how did that elevate you into comedy, doing comedy further to end up how you are, Rudi Lickwood, and dropping the lookalike?
Well, the thing is that the moment that Art Blakey told me that I looked like I had a resemblance.
Hmm.
It's the best way to put it. That I had a resemblance to Eddie Murphy. He the people in the back of the kitchen in which I was working in, the majority of the people I was working with were out of work actors and
Okay.
actresses at the
Right.
time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because we was working in the West End,
Mm.
and they told me about a celebrity lookalike agency. Right, so they took a picture of me, they sent it to the agency, and then the next thing I knew, I was promoting Beverly Hills Cops.
That's good. That was
Yeah,
good.
that's
Yeah.
how I got in.
Yeah.
So I got into it I got into the world of stand-up comedy as a celebrity lookalike.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and it was just coincidental that when Art Blakey said what he said to me, my godbrother's next door neighbors had a video recording of Eddie Murphy doing Saturday Night Live. Yeah, and then we watched that, and then they had a copy on VHS of him doing Delirious.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So initially, when I watched comedians, we would watch things like the comedians on TV, which used to come, which was on around in the 70s. We would see a guy stand up with a bow tie and tell a joke,
Charlie
and
Wilson.
then them. Okay, you had oh gosh, you had Bernard Manning was the kind of people
Oh,
them,
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
right? It was around that era,
Mm.
yeah. You also had oh gosh, he was the first black stand-up comic. Oh,
Charlie Wilson.
Charlie Wilson, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Charlie, yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
the first, right?
That's right. That's right.
And then but they would all just tell a joke,
Mm. Mm.
and then the camera would switch and move on to another comedian tell another joke and
Mm.
switch round. But
Mm.
when I watched Eddie Murphy doing Delirious, he stood up there for an hour,
Hmm.
right? And this I had never seen before,
Hmm.
right? And he entertained me from beginning to end. I can remember his whole routine, goony
Right.
goo goo, and all them thing there, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
right. And I just thought, rah, I can't believe this.
Mm.
So I ended up promoting Beverly Hills Cops one, and I was transported around the best parts of Europe around that time. So that was like Sweden, Denmark. I used to have to go to all the Our Prices because back then we had shops like called Our Price,
Hmm.
right, which is where you
Just,
used to buy records and stuff like that.
yeah. Just to hold you back there. How old was you at that time?
I
I'm not
was
giving
I
away your
was
age.
I was I was in my late 20s.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was in my late 20s. So when I'm going around all these Our Prices and the HMVs and I'm traveling abroad and as his lookalike, they're actually treating me like Eddie Murphy because
Okay.
I was part of Eddie Murphy's budget
Did
when
you
it
get the
came to.
money? Did you get the money like Eddie
I got
Murphy? Or
money. Don't get me. Don't
okay.
worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, but the thing is I was part of his PR budget
Mm.
when it came to promoting his films.
Mm.
Yeah. So they would give me limousine, they would give me the women, they would give me the outfits. Do you know what I mean? You turn up at the place, you got cameras on you, you got bouncers, you got bodyguards, you got all that kind of like stuff. You're in 5-star hotels, all that kind of stuff, which was really, really good
Yep.
until it was time to go home and then go back on the 13th floor in the pissy lift. Yeah. Just to remind you, you are not Eddie Murphy.
Okay. Did you ever get to meet him?
No,
Oh.
no,
Yeah.
because like I said, he wasn't even aware of what I was doing because he was that far removed from the marketing side of Paramount, because that's who it was. It was Paramount who was promoting his films around the world.
Okay. So okay, wow, that was a great start for you. Then that was obviously that was a great start for you. So it continued, and there is
Mm,
a story. Like I asked a lot of comedians because I said the experiences on stage. Have you ever had a bad experience on stage? And I know because I know you personally. I know you've had a bad experience on stage. But would you like to talk us through it? 291 Club,
mm.
yeah, and explain to us how you've come from that bad experience into the person you are now, and what you've learned from it.
Well, what I've learned from it is that black people are very unforgiving. They're very unforgiving. Yeah, because
My headphones came out. Go on.
they
Because
are, man. They are.
yeah,
They
go on.
are because when I did the 291, before I did the 291, I'd never ever done stand up before, right?
Okay.
No, but I had done it once before. That was when I entered a celebrity lookalike competition. That was in what's the club? Podium. It was in Podium
Mm.
back in the day, which was one of the first clubs that used to put comedians on. People like Angela Marr, Jefferson Whitfield, and us that used to. It was one of the first. But I entered a celebrity lookalike competition, and I came second in that competition. And that was doing gags similar to Eddie Murphy, some of Eddie Murphy's set and what have you, because that's all I knew. Yeah. Um, and then there was in the Voice newspaper, there was an advert for people to enter the 291 competition.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, yeah, let me do the 291. And having coming off the back of doing the Eddie Murphy stuff, I thought, you know what, I don't really want to do Eddie. I want to try and do some comedy of my own. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So I came up with this character called Natty Bungo, who was a Rasta man, yeah, and like he wouldn't even he was everything was dark. Everything was dark when it came to him. I mean, he didn't like white people. Yeah, it just I saw him steer. Right. When we used to have things called aspirin, and in aspirin you'd get a little cotton bud,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to get to the pills. Yeah. And Natty Bungo was the kind of guy who wouldn't touch the white cotton bud, right? Because it was white. You understand?
Okay.
And he had like a big spliff, he had glasses and all them kind of like thing. And I went up for the audition to do to enter the competition in the 291. And the guy who produced the show, his name was Charlie Hanson. And I came out as Nutty Bungo, blah blah, these big locks and everything. And he goes to me, hold on. He goes, what are you doing? And I go, this is my character, Nutty Bungo. And he goes to me that how I don't think you should come out as that character
Mm-hmm.
because it might upset somebody who lives in Brighton, right?
Okay.
And that's what. And I didn't understand what he said. I
Okay.
understood what he meant,
Yeah.
yeah, which
Yeah.
was that okay? We're putting on a show for a showcase for black people for the first time, and you're going to come out with this character and tell white people about themselves, yeah. And if anything, you're going to upset white people, is what he
Mm.
was telling me
Yeah.
indirectly.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So he told me that if I wanted to be on the show, that I had to get rid of the locks, I had to get rid of the glasses, and I had to get rid of the spliff that I
Basically,
wanted to come out in.
get rid of the character. That's
Which
what
I
you're
did.
trying
Yes.
to. Yeah.
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 So me getting rid of the character now and coming out on the 291, not realizing, and I'm still going to do the same stuff,
Mm.
but the humor had gone.
Mm.
And the audiences just took one look at me and went, wait, hold on. Because DJ Elaine, who was the host on the night, she introduced me as Rudy, right? But she said he's an Eddie Murphy lookalike,
Okay.
right? So even the introduction was wrong,
Mm.
right? Because I just wanted to come out as myself, yeah.
Mm.
So when I came out and I didn't look like Eddie Murphy, right? I didn't look like Natty Bungo, yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm talking about going to the job center and all them kind of like thing, and everybody said, "Oh, this man there." It was quite confusing for them.
Yeah, because the two don't equate. Yeah.
Nothing equated. So the audiences at the time were showed that if you don't like what you see, you let the performer know. So basically, they had these placards, right? And the placards would have like off, 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 off. and I could hear it because we was in Hackney Empire. I could hear off in the background, right? It started.
Most of
It started from the back. Yeah, you know the people then way back up at the top
yeah,
there, and then it made it way. It's made it way to the front.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then all I could hear was so then the Sandman comes out, yeah, dressed up in a nappy,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and he
okay.
was and he was like in a cot, but
Mm.
the cot had wheels on it. Yeah, so he started spinning around behind me and all of that, going off, 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 off. And then when I looked at the edit that they had on TV, they also showed the placards with people
Okay.
going off, 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 off. So
And the film.
obviously I had to get off.
Yeah.
I
Obviously.
had
Yeah.
to get off.
Right.
So I'm walking through Harlesden now, right? And people had just now watched the 291, which was our first magazine program, right? Black TV program. And
Mm.
people would walk to me and go, "Hey, Rudy." I go, "Yeah, what?" They go, "Boo, off, 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 off."
So,
I
so
heard, I heard that. I heard
yeah.
that for the next 7 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes,
That is
yes,
a long
yes,
time.
yes.
So how did that make you feel as a comedian?
I didn't feel like I was a comedian. I
No, no,
didn't.
no. Did it feel like did it dampen you? Did you feel like
Right. This
I'm
is what I'm
working
trying to explain because
right? Okay,
I went into depression for that period of time
okay.
because I was coming from a background of being quite a successful individual.
Mm-hmm,
Right. Everything I touched or anything that I wanted, anything that I put my mind to, I found I was able to do.
mm-hmm,
Right. And then all of a sudden, after having done this show, and every time I tried to get up to perform, people would remind me of that particular show that I'd done,
mm-hmm.
which then put me on the road to have to prove all the time that I'm quite capable of doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it made me look at comedy from a totally different perspective now. Yeah. So it wasn't just a case of me saying to myself, okay, I just want to get up and be funny now. I wanted to understand the business of comedy. How does it actually really work? Yeah.
Mm,
And so once I understood that you cannot promote yourself, you need representation, right? I then went and got agency. I then went and I got management, right? I then got them to start to circulate me on the comedy circuit, not on the black circuit. Yeah, on the
okay.
comedy
Yeah.
circuit.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then and because I'm black British and I better understood white people than they understood us.
Mm-hmm.
I found it easy to entertain and learn how to technically do what I need to do in order to survive on the comedy stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, and so I was one of the first to sort of like do white mainstream stand-up comedy on TV. Yeah. Which was like on the stand-up show. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So,
you've done a few TV shows,
yeah.
and tell us about the TV shows, and tell us about the dynamics of the TV show, how you got into the TV show, and how do you think TV differs, or sorry, how do you know TV differs to stage performances?
Well, the thing is that I mean, first of all, you don't just walk into TV. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, that's where the agency side of things comes in. So I was with an agency called Dudridge Entertainments.
Hmm.
Yeah, his name was Paul Dudridge. He was a white guy,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he had a stable of comics, right? The likes of Phil Jupitus, Mark, various other guys, and so he would leverage their stardom with getting me into TV. So back then, what they used to have to do is you used to have to send a VHS right off to producers. Yeah, they
Right,
would then look at at what you're doing, and they would decide whether or not they wanted you on their show. Well,
right.
he threw that out the door. He just went, listen, if you want to have Phil Jupiter, you have to take Rudi Lickwood.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's the
okay.
kind of leverage that he had.
Right, 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 right.
Right, and so that's how I started to get pushed around TV because I used to do a lot of TV warm ups and stuff like that. Yeah. And you kind of learn that when you start doing the TV warm-ups and stuff like that, that's not necessarily going to get you in front of the camera, because you kind of get you kind of get labeled as somebody who does warm-up. You don't get labeled as somebody who could be in front of the camera or on the panel, so to speak. Yeah. But that was fine. That was fine because it was a foot in the door. But I quickly realized that once I was inside the BBC and once I was inside ITV, that there was nobody else. There was nobody else. Felix, I mean, Felix was around. Lenny Henry was around, but I didn't get to see nobody.
Just
right? Yeah, and the way that things worked in the BBC was it was like a web. So you'd walk around the corridors and you make your connections. Yeah. And it was more about like networking.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and me now network with them people there because me now in a school tie. You understand? You understand what I'm saying?
Was that an opportunity you missed out on, or was it something that you deliberately did? Like
no, I wouldn't even say it was an opportunity that I missed out on. I would say that if you don't know how to maneuver, you don't know. You understand? It's not a case of me being ignorant and not wanting to associate myself with them or whatever you. Because you also got to appreciate the fact that Black British humor is totally was totally unknown at the time. It was like they couldn't pigeonhole me because I wasn't doing the Lenny Henry stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't doing the Katanga kind of like thing. I weren't doing that. Yeah. So it was like, well, how am I now gonna develop relationships with people? Yeah, when what I'm actually doing is I'm satirizing what's going on in the world of Black Britain today, and look at the way in which you're treating us, because we were going through things like the sus law. We were going through things like not being able to get jobs because you filled out your application and you put down that your name was Kojo, for instance, or Katanga, for instance. So you know that that's going in the bin. You understand what I'm saying? And these were things that on one level they didn't want to hear at that time. Yeah, they wanted the comedy to be a total distraction from what is actually going on in the real world. And that's why I say right at the beginning that the comedy that I tend to see when it comes to Black Britain is issue based. It's problem based. Yeah, it's not a case of us telling constructed jokes, because we don't. Yeah, we don't sit down there and write jokes like you write Christmas cards. Yeah, we talk about experiences that we've gone through, which tend to have some sort of racist element in it. Yeah, or it's got something to do with relationships. Yeah, you never ever hear Black comedians talking about flight of fancy. Yeah, we don't do whimsy, or we didn't. Should I say we didn't do whimsy?
Right.
Yeah, because I mean it's kind of changed over a period of time. Yeah, but we weren't doing whimsy, so it was like, well, they couldn't pigeonhole me. They couldn't decide what they were going to do with me. Yeah, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter to me at the time because, you know, I was flavor of the month when it came to doing stand up, because audiences understood me.
Yeah, and that's what really matters.
And that's what we think matters.
I was going to correct myself, but you corrected it for me.
Because that's what we think matters. Yeah, because when you're in front of an audience, you know what to do.
That's right.
When you're in front of a producer, he's thinking about the demographics of the people who's going to watch a TV show, and who is this individual, i.e. Rudi Lickwood, going to appeal to?
That's
especially if he doesn't find, if he himself personally has got no idea of my lifestyle, or it's like taking a policeman who lives in Yorkshire and then asking him to go and police Brixton.
That's what they do, though.
Yes, right.
You do that
Yeah,
in Carnival all the time.
yeah. So there's
Yeah.
gonna so there's gonna be conflict straight away because he's got all these stereotypical views in his head about what he perceives us to be and how we carry on with drug addicts, with blah blah blah. He's got all of that in his head. Yeah, and so that's how he's gonna treat you.
Mm.
And that's exactly how I found that the BBC producers, directors, etc., looked at me, yeah, when I started to perform.
Okay.
Audiences would start to bust out,
Mm.
but right about now, once you start to challenge this, when you start to challenge the status quo, or you start to challenge some of the social issues that is going on in society today, and it's not in a line with the
Yeah.
BBC or
Okay.
the ITV,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we've now got what is called political correctness,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But the world of comedy is kind of different because in the world of comedy, it's the comedians become the orators, the comedians become the politicians, and the politicians become the comedians
Mm.
because we start taking the piss. Because I came through the Margaret Thatcher era.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of my key jokes, which I still do today, is about the job centre
Mm.
and going there and seeing a set of doors and it said Labour or Conservative. And so you went through the Conservative door and you find yourself back out on the street again because
Okay.
that's how life was back then.
Mm. If I could just hold you there for a minute and ask you, how would you describe your comedy? Well, that's the question, really. How would you describe your comedy?
I describe it as social political satire,
Okay, good.
which is satirizing
Mm.
what's going on around us where there's no benefit for us. So you might say that we've got democracy where you've got choice, but really that's just that's just delusional
Mm.
because we've got no choice. We're forced to do the things that we do, and when you question what's being said, you're then found that there are people out there who would want to cancel you.
Mm.
So you're standing up in front of somebody, and they're wearing a dress, they've got high heel boots on, they got lipstick, and they
And I
got
got
a beard,
and I got a penis.
and then they got a penis, and you
Yeah.
can't say nothing, and you can't say nothing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but me I open my mouth. Me
Yes.
I open my mouth, man.
Yeah.
But the moment that you do that,
Mm.
right, in the workplace, let's talk about 9 till 5,
Mm-hmm.
you're out.
Mm.
Do that on the stage as a comedian.
I think the same thing will happen to you. You get out as well.
No,
And
no,
no, you get the
no.
laughters. You'll get the laughters, but you'll get
That's
some
right.
people that's going,
Of
"Ooh,
course, they will challenge you, but
exactly."
comedy is allowed to challenge
Mm.
because at the end of the day, the measurement of what you do as a comedian is the laughter. Now, the decision makers
There you go.
will make the decision that you don't come back on my stage.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what we can please the audiences, but it's the people above the audience who actually book us is the ones
Mm,
that we need to watch out
mm,
for.
mm.
Yeah.
So you have to. So you make a decision
Mm.
in terms of where you where you personally want to draw the line, and you have to decide to yourself, how do you measure success? what
Mm.
what is your measurement of success? Yeah, is your measurement of success one of dropping your morals and your principles in order to be on TV, or is your measurement of success to follow your morals and principles and still find the funny and deliver the funny
Mm.
in the way that you find pleasing to yourself?
In other words,
Because at
be
the end of the day,
mm.
do you want to sleep on your pillow,
Mm.
or would you rather sleep on a stack of money knowing that you've got no morals and principles?
Mm.
Reality TV has turned around and said, as long as you've got no morals and principles, we'll put you on TV.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. What I was going to take you back to is no, because that sits well. That really does sits well. It's informative, and that's what this podcast is all about. I want to take
Yeah.
you back. I want to take you back to because how I met you,
Okay, cool.
and how I met you was in comedy school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was introduced to the comedy school by one of our close friends, Mr. C,
Okay.
and I came to this comedy school, and not knowing what the comedy school was all about, like
Okay.
because I always say to people that you can't teach someone to be funny,
No, you
but
can't.
what you can teach them is how to formulate funny.
Yeah, you can teach them the techniques, the technicalities behind what it takes to be funny, and what enables, or what enables, or why would people find a particular subject, or subject matter funny in the first place. So you can technically show them how that can be done, because you got things like similes, which is like talking in pictures.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And then you got things like comparisons, where you compare, which people do all the time. You know what I mean? Man and woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
What's the difference between men and women? And you can find the funny in that. What's the
yeah,
difference between a man and a dog? You can find funny in that.
yeah,
Yeah. Reveal and pull back. If people want to know more about them kind of thing, then they have to go to the comedy school. But the
yeah.
whole point of setting up the comedy school was the fact that, going back to what I said in the beginning, was that you cannot go into a job center and see the word, "Do you want to be a comedian?"
Right.
Right? And then there were workshops out there. Right? If you follow the arts, you will find workshops in anything. Yeah, whether it's clowning, whether it's acting. Do you get me? There's workshops. But the workshops that I came across which is one in Jackson's Lane. It's quite famous, actually. In Jackson's Lane, I met Leo Chester there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I met Leo Chester, because he was one of the teachers. But there were other teachers as well, and those other teachers were quick to tell me that bringing my cultural roots to the stage wouldn't work. So, in other words, I shouldn't talk about baked beans. No, I shouldn't. I shouldn't talk about rice and peas. I should talk about green peas. I should talk about mushy peas, because their vision of the audience that they saw was a white audience.
White order, Caucasian. Yeah.
Yes, a Caucasian audience. The vision that I had in my mind when I'm performing was a black audience. So I can turn around and say, "Your face looked like when mango ready for ripe and fall." Yeah,
Mm. Mm.
and a black audience would understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you there for one reason, because when I see you, I don't look at you. It's a bit like myself. I don't look at myself as a black or white comedian, and I don't see you like that. I
Mm-hmm.
see you as a very informative comedian who likes to create. You make statements to create issues to get people's thought process working. That's how I
Yeah, that's
see you.
correct.
All
Yeah, that's
right.
correct.
And so when you just said that about, you went in there to talk about rice and beans, I don't see you as a comedian who writes jokes for black audiences. If you see what I mean, I just see you as a comedian who writes jokes.
And I wouldn't disagree with you, but you got to remember who's taking the class.
Oh, right. So, okay, and the class, right, right, right,
So
right,
who's taking the class?
right,
What is
right,
his perception
right, right. Okay.
of me? What is his perception of the dialogue that's coming out of my mouth? Yeah, he's a white middle class person.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, hearing these things for the first time
mm-hmm,
coming out of somebody, and he's like, "I don't think audiences will get this," forgetting that the audiences have been traveling to and from the Caribbean,
mm-hmm,
forgetting that he's talking to somebody who's black British. So
mm-hmm,
I grew up with white people,
mm-hmm,
and Caucasian people grew up with me.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. But you're telling me that the landscape for performance and for TV, right, is just for the ears and the ears and the sensibilities of Caucasian people. And I'm saying, I live in London. That
mm,
don't gossa. I
mm,
can talk like this out on street, yeah, and Mr. White middle class person will understand what I'm saying.
mm-hmm.
But you want me to change and become an inside or Oreo in order for you to,
To understand.
to understand. It don't make no sense.
So, do you
So
think then? Sorry to stop you, but and I shouldn't really stop you because you was going on a good thing there. But do you think then there's an issue still with the people on the top who organize the clubs?
no,
But you
no,
don't. Okay, good, good,
no.
good.
And
Yeah.
the reason for that is because of the internet. Because what
Okay.
the internet done
Hmm.
is that people watch what they find interesting,
Yeah.
and they quickly realize, especially after COVID, that a lot of British people
Black
started tuning in to black people,
culture. Yeah.
black culture, because now you've got You got. I'm my age is. I'll be 61 this year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've got children.
Mm-hmm.
My children have children. Right now, we, as you know, can be on a bus, and we're at the front of the bus, and we hear a bunch of kids talking. And when you listen to them, you think you're
Huh.
listening to black children having a conversation.
And then you
When
look
you
back.
turn round, it's Mr. Patel, it's
Yeah, yeah,
Mr. Chinaman,
yeah.
it's the white guy, and they're all talking like they are black
Mm,
British.
mm,
So the whole social landscape has changed. And so because the demographics have now changed, and because more people are tuning into the internet, it has forced them to reevaluate the programming that's taking place on
mm,
TV today.
mm. Which obviously is giving us more of a chance now to get in and express ourselves. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's obvious that's happened. I mean, there's somebody out there by the name of somebody out there. You've got Judy Love who's out there now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. You've got Axel Blake who is out there.
Mm.
Okay. Axel was the one who won
Britain's
Britain's
Got
Got
Talent.
Talent.
Mm.
Yeah, you got people like Kojo who is out there. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
got people like Ori Styler who is out there. You got
Mm.
people like Kane Brown who is
Mm.
out there. You know, you got Steve K. Amos who is that who is out there. You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying? So the thing is that the whole landscape has changed, and they cannot. The gatekeepers have been pushed to the side because now we're talking about supply and demand. The demand is we need a wider breadth of performers than what we were watching when we used to sit down and watch TV in the 60s and the 70s.
Mm.
Yeah. But then at the same time, they brought policies in, by the way,
Okay.
right? After the death of George Floyd,
Okay.
policies were brought in to ensure that the British broadcasters showed a more diverse set of talent on TV. So now you will see people who are disabled.
Mm.
Now you will see people of different color persuasion. Yeah. But not just because of the not just because of the internet having its involvement, i.e., because Mo Gilligan came through on the back of Twitter when he had a character, couple of cans and all that kind of stuff.
Instagram, yeah, Instagram. Yeah, yeah.
No, it's Twitter. It was Twitter, actually.
Was it
Funny
Twitter?
enough.
I'm sure it was
Yeah,
Instagram. Oh,
Twitter.
okay. Wow. Because
Twitter. Then it
didn't
was initially it was Twitter.
right.
Ask
Okay.
him.
Oh
Initially it
no.
was Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Instagram and all the other social platforms. Yeah,
Right.
but
Right.
initially it was Twitter.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Because
yeah.
I caught him up on Instagram. I thought it was Instagram. Was he doing the cans and that woman?
That's right. Couple of
Right.
cans, couple of
Right. Yeah.
cans, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you all
Yeah. So
right, girls? So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
basically has been a cockney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which translates and it crosses over. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
which we don't have no problem with that,
Mm.
right? But it was also a case of once George Floyd happened,
Mm-hmm.
what it meant was that the days of turning around and saying that we had a chip on our shoulder, which was the whole point of my comedic skit in the first place, was that now this is real, right? We have been treating these people badly,
Mm-hmm.
and they do deserve to be treated as equals. Yeah, that opened the door. That
Okay.
really opened the door, right? So next thing you kind of like knew was that we started getting adverts on TV with black people,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Selling things that we don't normally sell, like gravy.
It was no. What you're saying is it was very noticeable because a lot of people picked up on it.
Of course they did, because
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because at one time I used to feel sorry for white people because we couldn't see them in adverts anymore. Like we're on the gun, you're not don't audition no more. There's no white people anymore.
Always a mixed race couple or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, all this
Yellow,
mixed
white.
race couple and all these
Yeah.
kind of like things, yeah,
Yeah.
because they wanted to reflect society.
Right.
Yeah, which kind of like mash up my sets when I think about it, because that was what I basically, yeah, that is what I
got that for you, bro.
yeah, that is what I basically survived on. was
Right.
being able to go around and point out all of these inequalities.
Right.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they was like, all right, then here, blam, see it
Yeah.
there. It's happening now. But by the time then, I mean, I'd become a much more mature comedian, and it was like, I'm like nearly 25 years in before this kind of like happened. Yeah. So the target market for viewers now is they're trying to catch the 25 to 40-year-olds. Yeah. So you need comedians of that age and that ilk to appeal to them. Do you know what I mean? So that's why when you introduced me as a veteran,
Yeah.
yeah, I am a
You
veteran
are.
in the game.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a veteran in the game. But that's why I created with Keith Palmer the comedy school,
Mm.
because I knew that we were going to have talent that was coming through, and I knew that they weren't going to know, they didn't know how to get into the industry, and I knew that they needed some sort of guidance to help them get there, and I've proved it, and we've been very successful at it, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody who came through the comedy school, right,
Mm-hmm.
is on a level that they would never have been on had of the school not been there.
Indeed.
And some of them have taken it even further.
No, that's a serious. I'm clapping for you for real.
Oh,
Honestly.
thank you. No worries, bro.
What I was gonna say. So when you write your material now, how do
Mhm.
you ensure that it's compatible with your voice? Do you
By
understand what I
staying,
mean?
yeah, I do. By staying true to myself.
That's right.
Uh, I was going to say special just now, right? But I see you got Peter Francis up there, yeah. So I will stick to that. Okay. I was going to say by staying true to myself, because it is quite easy to want to dilute what you say,
Mm.
in order to just to appease an audience. Yeah, the likes of Dave Chappelle, likes of Chris Rock, etc., who are monumental in the game of stand-up comedy, right? They're not agreeable people,
Mm.
right? I mean, they're thought-provoking people. Yeah, their curiosity goes beyond Mr. 9 till 5, because Mr. 9 till 5 is confined in the way that he thinks and the way that he behaves, because society tells him he has to be this way,
Right.
right? Um, Whereas by staying true to myself, so long as I stay true to myself, then I think that the audiences can see that he's not lying about what he's saying. He's quite convicted. There's a lot of conviction, is what he's saying. I might not agree with what he's saying,
Mm.
yeah, but he's got a point.
It's your opinion as well.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and that's all that matters,
Mm.
right? Now I accept that there are joke tellers out there, right, who will go on for 20 or 30 minutes and say nothing, but they will make you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But they've actually said nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the background in where I'm coming from, right, the idea is to leave people with something, some sort of positive message. Because remember, I'm coming from a disfranchised background as a black person now, right? It's not a case of saying, oh, I'm just telling jokes to be funny, but my life has said to me that it's been a struggle. But irrespective of the fact that it's been a struggle, we've got President Obama, which means that you've got no excuses now. Racism is not an excuse, but it doesn't mean you don't see it.
Mm. Although he is in America, which is slightly different to the
And
UK.
I would agree with that. Well, who have we got? Kwasi Kwarteng? Who else? We got? we had right. We had Diane Abbott, and you see how they've treated her.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? After that, we got Lammy. What's Lammy? What am I gonna do?
Mm.
Lammy, what am I gonna do? Yeah,
Mm.
that's why I say that the politicians have become jokes, they become comedians, and we become the
Yeah,
politicians.
I'm the politicians, right? Okay. What's it? Do you feel that you've missed out on anything in your career so far, or is there?
No,
Okay,
no,
cool.
no, and I'll tell you why. Right,
Go.
because I know that things develop over a period of time. Right, and I know that when I was coming through, I know that there was a glass ceiling. Hence why Gina Yashaburi left England and went to America. Right,
Mm.
glass ceiling. Yeah, so
Mm.
they let you get so high, and that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in that time, I've traveled the world. Yeah.
Yep.
I've lived life on my own terms.
Yep.
I've brought 3 wonderful daughters into the world. I'm a grandfather of 2. I own
Yep.
my own house.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I've created a comedy school, which has brought talent that people may never have seen had we not done it. They wouldn't have even seen Judy Love. You wouldn't have seen Kane Brown. Me and you would not be having this conversation right about now because you wouldn't have had that conversation with Mr. C in the first place. Miss Quincy wouldn't be around. Glenda wouldn't be around. There's so many of them who wouldn't have been around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I accept that now that the likes of Ori Styler, the likes of Kane Brown are touring nationally. Yeah. They're touring with the support of Live Nation. Live
Wow.
Nation is a big promoter.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Which
Yep.
we didn't have access to in the 80s and in the 90s because they never saw us as a product that they could do that with. We had the real McCoy. Yeah. Normally, when you have a program like the Real McCoy, you take the talent and you develop it within the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as that more black people can come on TV. Yeah. You take them out as individuals. You take the Curtis Walkers. You take the Felix Dexters. You take the Richard Blackwoods. You take all of these people and you give them vehicles to develop within the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
What they did with the Real McCoy was they just shut it down and they brought in Goodness Gracious Me
Yeah.
as a replacement. And they developed all of those Asian comedians. Whereas we had to go out and develop the black comedy circuit.
Right.
Yeah, which thank God that John Hugh Smith was around to do that.
Mm-hmm.
John Smith was around to do that. Yeah, because it was on the back of John Smith taking comedy shows in and around all of the major cities, be it Manchester, Cardiff, Bristol, Sheffield, London. He took us all into these theatres. Yeah. So black comedy grew out of theatres.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't grow in pubs.
Well, clubs there. We weren't used to that. No.
No. Right. It was theatres. Yeah. So people would come out like 100, 800 and 1,000 a time. Yeah. Off the back of the Real McCoy. And that is how our circuit grew. Not through TV.
We
didn't grow through TV. Yeah. Yeah. TV came and caught up afterwards. Yeah. We had to grow our circuit without them. Yeah. And black audiences came out and they supported us. Yeah. And then later on, we started scrambling around trying to open up clubs, trying to put comedy on in clubs, which didn't work successfully because imagine this, you have a dance thing and everybody, we switch off the light and all them thing there. And then all of a sudden they switch on the light and go, hey, we got a comedian for you. I want to we died in those scenarios. We died badly. We died. All you hear is, pull up the record. Pull up the comedian.
That's when you have to really test yourself. Say, Jesus Christ, but I'm not doing this again because that can kill a comedian's career. But we got through it, and we
got through it.
Hey, bro,
we got through it. We got through it.
Hard times. Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
So where is it for you now, then, Rudy? What do you want to do?
Underneath there, you see the word facilitator.
There you go.
Yeah. So what it is for me is I'm going to keep growing the circuit. That's what I want to do because I know that there's talent all over the place and people like you support me because you know that I'm not going into the biggest of venues. Yeah, I'm going into the smaller venues because I know that people come out for regular events, so i.e. New Year's, Valentine's, Mother's Day, Black History Month. Yeah. But what I learned on the white circuit was that comedy is 7 days a week.
Right.
Yeah.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day in America.
It's 7 days a week because they were used to entertaining themselves and going in the back of pubs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Whereas we at that time we were frightened to go into pubs because of the racism that we might. Yeah. But now we do have black-owned establishments where we can put on shows for 100 people, 50 people, you know. And I think that's the step that's missing in between getting into the bigger clubs. That's getting into the glee clubs, getting into the jonglers club, getting into the bigger comedy clubs. You know what I mean? We don't have that circuit. We don't have it. We don't have it.
So that's what you're trying to create a miniature circuit, so
Yeah.
that the comedians on there could be exploited to the bigger. Well,
Yeah, because then obviously it would mushroom and they would move on. Yeah, because the first questions that you guys used to ask was, the course done, what are we going to do now? And where did we used to send you? We used to say to you that, okay, well, you have to go what was that? What's the magazine again?
Evening Standard was one where you used to put your name in
Yeah,
a little column.
that's right. You have to go on the Evening Standard. You had to go on magazines that would tell you what's happening during the week, and you'd have to go to, and you see a list of all of these comedy clubs, and you got to go and apply to them, and then they will get back in touch with you, kind of like thing. But we never ever directed you to any black promoters. We never ever directed you to any black run clubs or coffee shops. Do you get me? Or restaurants. Yeah. We used, you know, and so it was like, okay, so you start to see that there's gaps within our marketplace that will help to grow and to build, you know, and have this solid foundation. So is that us as a set of black British people, I'm going to say that, you know, can say that we have an industry.
Okay.
You know, and everything starts with one shop becomes 2 shops, becomes 3 shops, becomes 4 shops, and it grows. So I'm at a stage where I'm a small acorn, and I'm very much aware of that. But it's just, that's where my passion is at the moment. I mean, like I said, I've been around the world. I've been on all the cruise ships. I've done all of these things. I've been in war-torn areas, as you know, and I know that you've done some stuff as well. You get me? So what is there that I haven't really done? Not much, really. I may not be touring, but I don't really want to go up and down for 40 days. You know what I mean? Going from Plymouth to Exeter, then off to Glasgow, then come back down, go to Torquay. That's when I see them thing there, I get tired, blood. Me a whole man now. Me no want to run up and down like that.
We're back at kill me, brother.
Yeah, I did all that running up and down. I slept on the floors. You get me? I stayed in the B&Bs. Yeah. So it's not like I don't know what's happening. It's not like I'm not aware. Yeah. But now it's about choice. It's about choice. You can do. I'm privileged. I know that. Okay. To be in a position where I can make that choice. You know, the corporate work still comes in. The bookings still come in. I'm lucky. You know, so I give thanks. I give thanks to the universe for that. I give thanks to all of the comedians who are coming through, putting on shows and phoning me and saying, Rudy, come and do a little thing for us. You know what I mean? I give thanks to all the people who have weddings and stuff and go, Rudy, come and do a thing for. I give thanks. You know, but that is all based off the 30 odd years of doing what I did, and people seeing what I did, understanding that Rudy is a funny person, but he's actually trying to tell us that we can make better of ourselves. He's telling us that as much as Britain is saying you're not welcomed here, we are here.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
On that subject, are there any topics that you stay clear of?
No, not if I find it funny.
Okay.
Not if I find it funny. I've got to find it funny first. Yeah. So you can talk about death. Do you know what I mean? The only time you see black people nowadays, right, is at a funeral at my age. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mind going to a funeral because the food is free and so is the drink. You know? Right? So, so, you know what I mean? And there's always a widow and she's looking for a man. But no, the thing is, right?
Funerals are like reunions, bro.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to say.
Dead, bro? Long time I don't see you.
Long time I don't see you. I mean,
I thought you was dead. All right.
Right. So that's the kind of conversations that we have. Yeah, because the comedy is conversational. The comedy used to be conversational, I'm going to say, because comedy has changed, right? People are starting to talk about crowd work now, right? Which we used to call the MC.
Yeah, which is
Am I
hosting.
wrong when I say that? Did I say that wrong, Peter?
No.
Oh,
MC and hosting,
yeah,
which is crowd work.
yeah,
That's what it was, isn't it? Because
yeah,
most of the time when you go on hosting, you either go
yeah,
there, test out some material that you think is
yeah,
good, or you just have a banter with the crowd.
yeah. We
That
used to
was
call that,
hosting.
we used to
It
call
was
that
hosting.
hosting.
But they
Yeah,
labeled it
but
crowd work, which is a
yeah,
new
call
thing.
it crowd work. And the thing is that because there's a new generation of audience coming out
Mm.
into the circuit, that's what they perceive now as the standard for comedy. And I'm not out to change that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that from where I'm coming from where I'm sitting, that used to be hosting. Yeah. Before it was a case of you used to have to construct a 20-minute set that would take us on a journey of some sort. Yeah. And it would go up and down and there'd be laughs along the way of that journey. Yeah. It's not like that today.
Just before we go, how have you ever felt uncomfortable on stage or told a joke that you thought, oh, I shouldn't have told that?
Yeah, enough times.
Mm.
Enough
Mm.
times.
Is there
Enough
any
times.
particular?
Because
You got a
enough
smile on
times.
your face? Yeah, go on.
Enough times I've said stuff that I've kind of thought, you know what I mean, didn't go down. Like sometimes I used to really love this line, where like you see an older pretty girl, you know what I mean? And you go, well, there's a lot of pretty girl in here, you know, a couple of swamp donkeys as well. A couple of swamp donkeys.
That's that's what I would call, right. You know, when you do a joke and you say it, but you know that's what this is for me. This joke is for
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Because that
not
should
for
have
you
stayed in my
guys.
head.
Yeah,
That should
it's
have
for me.
that should have stayed in my head. Yeah. But
Yeah.
now you're looking out on the audience, and that's just now come out your mouth, and you're like, raw. 80% of the audience in here is women. Yeah. So
And they probably look like what you just described.
yeah, and so it's like, woo. So you've
Yeah.
already lost. You've
Yeah.
already lost a good
Half.
percentage,
Yeah.
half if not more.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the
Yeah.
audience, and that's happened. That's. I mean, you sometimes you can't help but trip over because comedians we say things that we might think is funny, but you don't really know it's funny
Until it's tested.
until it's said. Do you get me? And a lot of the times, initially when you go on stage, you're going through a dark tunnel, looking for the light. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not until you've done something. Then once you've done it, then you know. Yeah, but new material, you don't know, Peter. You think it's funny, but you have to let the audience tell you
That is funny. Yeah, of
that it's
course.
funny.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
of course.
And it's okay. But innately, I mean, after a while of doing the stand up and having experience, just like an accountant or somebody who even works a till, you become proficient in what you're doing. You know, and you make less mistakes than when you started out in the first place.
What's your take on the Instagram Wonder Kids who are doing big things compared to the original stand-up who's on stage?
I think it's just a new platform, and a new way of delivering this what we do, and I think it's now part of it now needs to be part of your kit if you are going to be a comedian and survive, because like I said before, we used to say it's about pleasing the people in front of you. It's also about pleasing the people who's watching you, so they can watch you on Facebook, they can watch you on Instagram. You can become a global star and not be able to perform on stage. It's possible. Yeah, you can learn to edit comedy and put it out, whether it be sketches, whether it be a play, whether it be skits. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, these are all still parts of comedy. So there's a place for everybody. Yeah, if you're good at doing live stand-up, then do live stand-up. If you're good at being on Instagram or Facebook, then do that, because you can monetize it.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know how to work it out. I've tried, and I'm not going to stop trying. Do you know what I mean? Because I know that it's just part of, it's just within the sphere and the field of what you do. You know, if you want to communicate with people, or if you want to build your own audience, you don't have to wait on TV. You can do it on Instagram.
There you go.
You can do it on Facebook. You can do it on Twitter. You know what I mean? You can do it on TikTok. You know? So exploit all of these platforms. Exploit your talent and spread it as wide as you possibly can. You never know, you know what I mean, what you're going to catch.
Okay. As a veteran now in the game, I want you to give your advice to young up and coming comics.
Well, first of all, I would say to you is that check out www.thecomedyschool.com. Yeah. Or look up a gentleman by the name of Mr. C. I believe that he's now starting to teach comedy as well. I mean, Mr. C used to teach at the comedy school as well, I might add.
Yep.
Yeah, if you don't mind me saying so. And learn what it is to technically become a stand-up comedian. I'm not saying be funny on Instagram. I'm not saying be funny on social media. Right? I'm saying if you want to stand up in front of people with just a microphone, nothing else, if you got skills, you can play an instrument or something like that. That's a bonus, right? I would suggest that you go and get in touch with the comedy school. If you want to, if you want the opportunity to,
1 second. There are other schools out there, but the comedy
no, but
school,
I'm not promoting no other schools.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay,
but for the sake of my podcast.
You see, so that's fine. But I mean, I can only talk from where I'm coming from, and the direct, because I know that we've produced people who've been on Britain's Got Talent. I know that we've produced people who are now internet stars. I know that we've done that, and I'm not just saying it. And you already know that I'm not bragging when I say it, because we're having a conversation. And if I was wrong or if I was saying something out of place, I know that you would correct me. Yeah. And if you want to perform, get in touch with me.
There you go.
Yeah. Get in touch with me. That's why I've got facilitator underneath there. And you can come to the Ransom Banks Comedy Club, where you will get to meet veterans, right? Or you'll get to meet comedians like Mr. Peter Francis here. Yeah. And they will talk to you and they will encourage you, because that's the kind of environment that I create. You know, so that's my suggestion.
Okay, that's a very good suggestion. What I'm going to say to you now, just before we end, is when do you think a joke is complete? Now, I said that for a reason.
When is it complete? I don't think it ever is, because you'll always find tangents.
There you go.
Or something that will always come to mind, because you got. See, now we're getting into the comedy, because now you know what I mean. You get one joke and then you can have a topper, and then you can get a topper on top of a topper. Yeah, and that's when you start to create a wall of laughter. That's fits of laughter. Yeah, because first of all you find the joke and you think, okay, that's funny. Now, can you make it? Can you make it even bigger or more hilarious? You know what I mean? Can you build on it? Can you? And the time that you start to build on that is when you're in front of the audience. Yeah, because that's how you get them into fits of laughter, where they're choking and the tears coming out their eyes and all that kind of stuff. But that really works when you're in the moment. You've got to be in the moment. Yeah, you can't just. That's why when this is a great interview. I'll tell you why it's a great interview, because you've never said once tell a joke.
No, I wouldn't tell you that.
Yeah, not once. Yeah, because people think, oh, you're gonna come up and you're gonna tell a joke. I'm like, nah, I'm not telling a joke. Right? No, if I was a gynecologist, she ain't gonna ask me to show you what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
No, the whole purpose of Behind the Funny is to find out what the comedians have been through, what their life is like, because we are humans at the end of the day. We have battles within ourselves to go on stage, okay, and to perform for the audiences, because we are putting on a performance for you guys. And which, you know, and you guys are the ones who determine whether our act is good or not.
Yeah.
It's all coming from you, the audience.
It's all down to the audience. It's like tennis. That's what I'm saying. It's like backwards and forwards tennis. Just don't watch tennis. You know what I mean? When men play it, it's boring. Watch it when women play it.
Why? Look at the skirt. Look at the skirt. Because the reason why I did ask you about a joke, because to me, a joke is never ending.
Yeah, bro.
It's never ending for me. I mean, there's always bits like what you said. You can add on to the joke, take the joke into different direction, bring it back into where you come from. It's never ending for me. So for the new comics, if you think the joke is complete, it's never complete. It's always
That's what I'm saying.
mm,
We're not like Christmas cards. A Christmas
mm,
card is a couple of words and then that's it.
mm,
Whereas
mm,
what you're seeing a persona, you're seeing a
mm,
personality
mm.
that has developed and built over a period of time. You know what I mean? And but don't think to yourself that when I get off stage, you can come up to me and start joke around with me because I will cut you up. You know? Because some people take comedians as just fools, as idiots.
Well,
You
yes,
get me?
there is a stigma attached to it. You know,
Yeah,
like
that you're a
trying to
fool, you're
be
an idiot,
no,
and I
no,
ain't that.
no, no.
I ain't that. I'm out there to help tickle your imagination. I'm out
Yeah,
there to help you see things from a totally different angle. I'm not a clown.
mm,
Yeah, and I think that's a great profession as well. I'm not saying
mm,
it's not, but being a stand-up comedian and being a clown is two different things. So you have comedians who are on 24/7. That means that they want to be funny all the time, all the time, all the time. All I ain't that person.
no.
I'm not that person. Yeah, I get paid to do what I do. I'm a
Mm,
professional comedian,
mm,
so I switch on the moment like the red light goes on and they go camera action.
mm.
I will switch on.
Do you have a ritual before you go on stage?
No, I don't.
No, you just go on stage
No. I
and
just, I
perform,
just, I just, I just take myself and go up on stage. That's what I
right?
do.
Right.
Because I'm often told that, boy, you kind of relax. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And I'm
mm.
like, yeah, well, I've stopped being frightened.
You stop having nerves?
I haven't stopped having nerves, but I've
Oh,
stopped being frightened. I used to be frightened
okay.
because I used to get booed. Yeah.
Oh, well, it goes back to
The trauma. Right?
Russ. Hold on a minute. What? Oh yeah, been there. Sorry, that was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah, that
All
was
right.
yeah.
Okay.
I used to be frightened, but
Mm,
that fear is now gone because I know that when people come to a stand-up comedy show, they bought a ticket.
mm,
Some of them got washed before
mm,
they come out. Yeah, put on their clothes. Yeah, some of them queued up. Then they found their seat. Then they sat down. They want it to work. That's why they're there.
mm. Okay.
Whereas comedians, as you said, behind the scene, we actually sometimes talk ourselves out of it.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, they're not
Mm,
going to like me, but they came with the intention to like you.
mm,
But you said that they're not going to like you.
mm,
So you've already created that scenario.
mm.
And therefore, it will play out the way that you've thought it would.
Guys, you see, this is what I'm talking about. Behind the funny, we have a veteran comedian who's giving you some wonderful advice. Take the advice because you know what? You might not get it anywhere else. All right. Rudy,
Mm.
first of all, tell people where they can find you, how they can find you, and what you're up to in the forthcoming months.
Okay. Well, you obviously can find me on most social media platforms. Yeah. So that's your Instagram. You put in Rudi Lickwood. Facebook, Rudi Lickwood. TikTok, Rudi Lickwood. Instagram, Rudi Lickwood.
Everything
Yeah.
Rudy Lickwood.
Yeah, everything Rudy Lickwood, you can find me. You can
Mm,
put in the Rants and Bants Comedy Club, yeah, and you'll find out where my next shows are. And the next show is going to be not till February. I'm going to put on a showcase for Iron Napa comedians going to Iron Napa,
okay.
and that's going to be held down in Willesden. But you need to go to you need to go onto one of the social media platforms to get that information, or you'll
Eventbrite. Is it on
no, no, no,
Eventbrite?
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no, 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 no. It's going to
okay.
be no Eventbrite is where they will be able to purchase their tickets.
That's what we want them to do, innit? Purchase a
Yeah,
ticket.
you're right. They can go on Eventbrite to purchase their tickets. You're
Eventbrite.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what am I saying? Right? No, it's just that normally when I put out promos and stuff like
Mm.
that or adverts and stuff like that, it's normally found on social media. I guess the other place you can find me. I'm trying to think where else would people be able to find. You can't. You can't.
So, well, look on the social medias,
You
and
just
you
got to go
find
social media, yeah.
you
Because
find
I'm not
Rudy.
there on street like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not them weird. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't walk street like that.
There you go, Rudy. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been a fantastic interview, man. And keep doing what you're doing, and never ever give up, which you don't. All right, which I
Thanks,
love
bro.
about you. Right, just keep going. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for listening to me, guys. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel Behind the Funny, and we will see you next week.